Hi there, and welcome to the Introduction to Public Theology. I'm John Paul. Coming to you in this video from Melbourne, Australia, from my lovely hotel room. I'm here on a speaking tour for my recent book, Fethullah Gulen, A Life of Hizmet, Why a Muslim Scholar in Pennsylvania Matters to the World. You have the opportunity to read it in a little bit. And I'm speaking here in various cities, Brisbane, Canberra, Sydney, today Melbourne, and tomorrow I'll be in Auckland, New Jersey for a couple days, about a Christian perspective on the Islamic notion of service. The third word in Turkish is hizmet. And so in the hizmet movement, you have a Muslim example of a movement in public theology now global, started in Turkey and is spread around the world. So what makes them public theologians? You'll have an opportunity to read the book later, so I won't give you a whole lot of heads up on that. But the basic notion of hizmet as service is very much akin to what Martin Luther says in his essay on Christian liberty from 1520, where he writes, "Christian is a perfectly free, Lord of all, subject to none, and a Christian is a perfectly dutiful servant of all, subject to all." So if theology has to do with God's relationship with us, that first half of Luther's paradox, namely that a Christian is perfectly free, indicates God's freeing of us through Jesus Christ in the gospel. The second half, Christian is a perfectly dutiful servant of all, indicates the public aspect of public theology, namely that it is our calling to engage on behalf of alleviating the unnecessary suffering in the world. And that, in brief, is why I'm here in Melbourne, Australia, jet-lagged, but delighted to be engaged in promoting the biography of Fethullah Gulen, not for my own benefit, but for the benefit of people who are being persecuted around the globe, notably Turkish citizens who have been allied with Mr. Gulen, who have come under extraordinary threat, imprisonment, had to go on the run, etc. in recent years. It's a little-known story, but part of the broader wave of Islamophobia and Muslim violence that is epidemic in our globe. But thank you to you for taking a look at Dr. Pamela Lightsey's fine lecture in which she defines public theology and exemplifies it in relation to her work in Ferguson with the Black Lives Matter movement. And thank you, too, for your thoughtful introductions to yourselves. Many of you bring extraordinary skills. All of you bring extraordinary skills, some with a deeper range of experience than others, but that's cool. And I hope that in this course, you can begin to integrate your skills with your emerging voice as a public theologian. That is, as a theologian of the church, where the church is not understood only as what happens between the walls of the congregation, but that what happens in relationship to people in need around the globe. And that can happen in a variety of ways. Public, at one simple definition, is the opposite of private. And so public theology is theology that is not private. That is, that it is not articulated in parochial terms made only for insiders of one kind or another. And you have to realize that the Christian insider boundary is pretty broad and yet also profoundly exclusive. And so to move beyond speaking in just Christian speak when we are doing Christian public theology is a tricky and important bit of negotiation. And if you want to understand the emergence of the nuns, that is those who claim no religious affiliation, you have to understand the durability of the institutional silos that people of faith and different traditions have built and how we defend and those silos with various forms of overt or covert aggression. That is, direct attacks of one kind or another, creating us-them dualisms, or very subtle microaggressions that also create us-them dualisms and that exclude. And that hypocrisy, given the extraordinary call of the founder of Christianity, Jesus, the heart of Christianity, Jesus, the inspiration of Christianity, Jesus, to love our enemies, had that hypocrisy in institutional self-perpetuation is one of the scandals of our time. And yet, on the hopeful side, interreligious work and the will to cooperate is deep and broad in our congregations. And I hope through our work in public theology, we can begin to do that. Public theology often gets narrowed down to political theology, that is, to engaging in protest of one kind or another. To me, that's a very narrow definition of it. Public theology also includes the arts, all the domains of culture, and social engagement, including social ministry organizations, social service agencies, and so forth, related to issues such as housing and homelessness, hunger, and pick another H word. Of course, politics and policy is part of it, but also the arts. Yesterday, I was fortunate to be able to go to an Aboriginal art gallery here in Melbourne and take a look at the extraordinary work of the Indigenous peoples of this land and the beautiful dream times that they have painted for us as a way to try to explain the deep connection with the land as communicated through color and point and figure. That too is public theology. That is connecting us with the beauty of the gift of the land and the gift of the Creator as seen through creation of one kind or another. Well, that's probably enough for now. I've commented on all of the papers that are in. If you haven't yet posted that first paper, please go ahead and do so ASAP. And again, reply to at least 3 of your peers, your colleagues. I hope, in fact, you read them all as a way to get to know each other and to prepare for what I anticipate will be a great and rich meeting face to face. Next up for this coming week is Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, The Dignity of Difference, truly one of the greatest books in public theology and the doing of public theology in the last 2 decades. Rabbi Sacks was the chief rabbi of London, is an extraordinary thinker, and look forward to your responses to that. Feel free, if you would prefer, not to post a paper. You could also do a video. That way we get to hear your voice a little bit. And this course is all about honing your voice. As a theologian, as an emerging pastor, or a social ministry organization leader, deacon, teacher in the church, whatever God is calling you in ministry, this course, because of its comprehensive character, engaging scripture and reason and tradition, and pastoral care and community organizing, I trust this course can be valuable to you, and that's certainly my goal and why I teach it. So thanks again. Great start. Look forward to working with you. Take care. Bye.